This was the first time that I proposed and she said no. But the relationship didn't end there. It actually got stronger. This is our story of building our relationship on honesty and love.
Guys, he was 21 and I was 33.
I called my mom. I met my future wife today.
Please don't kiss me. Please don't kiss me.
Gave her a kiss.
So you delivering a human doesn't mean we can't be parents. He face planted.
Finally tell her like truly how I felt.
This is what honesty and love sounds like. It's what it feels like.
I made a really, really dumb mistake that almost ended our relationship.
I owned a hair salon in California and it did well. A hair client was in my chair and he just randomly said, you know, a lot of humans want wisdom, they want time, health, and wealth, but you can never get it at the same time. And it's something that everybody always strives for. And it dawned on me that I have the rest of my life to stand behind this chair and work. But right now, with all 4 of these things on my plate, I need to do something with that. I sold everything I had. I bought a backpack and a one-way ticket out of the country. I dropped my phone in the trash can at the airport and left. I have over 80 stamps on my passport now. I was gone for 6 years and it changed my life. You know, growing up, especially I think as women, you always hear intuition, like a woman's intuition. And I believed it, I knew it, I thought so, but there's nothing like being alone in a foreign country where you don't know a soul nor the language. And you have to trust the gut. It's the only thing you have next to you. Traveling heightened that sensation for me. It was just me in the raw form, and I had never felt more alive. And I think in prior relationships, the gut was so muffled with programmed thoughts and society and scheduling and work and friends and opinions, there was no room for my gut to have a say in anything. But traveling, all of a sudden, I had nobody to impress. I had nothing to prove. So there was no reason to put on a false presentation of who I thought I was or be kind to somebody just because they were my client. All of that was gone. That left me feeling completely fulfilled inside. And I wasn't looking for a relationship. I didn't need one. But I actually think that's why I found one.
When I was 19, my dad committed suicide. And his death plummeted my life down like really, really far to a bottom that I had never experienced before. I got really into drinking alcohol, using tons of drugs, and I just really went downhill fast. That landed me into a lot of trouble, and at the age of 20, I decided to turn my life around and I got sober. And getting sober absolutely changed my life. It gave me a new way of living, and I became a much deeper, more spiritual person. From being an egomaniac with an inferiority complex, I ended up transforming into somebody who was completely okay being themselves, completely loving their life, and not in the search for anything extra to add to my life to feel fulfilled. I had that fulfillment already inside of me. And I think that's what made me ready when I finally met her.
I was living in Barbados, and amongst my travels, I would still go back to the States to see family. And it was the summer of 2016, and I was heading back to Florida to see my mom. She informed me that there was an art gallery that was hiring.
So this woman came to apply for a job, and she shows me this picture of her daughter. I'm like, oh yeah, she's pretty, okay, you know, whatever.
And the manager happens to be super cute. So maybe when I come visit, we can swing in. And I don't know what she was thinking. But when my mom said art gallery manager, my mind just went to like, you know, a Mr. Magoo, you know, tie up to here and side part perfection. Off to the art gallery went.
She comes back in with her daughter, and the doors opened of the art gallery, and I saw this woman. And I knew instantly that she was going to be my future wife. I called my mom later on that day and I said, I met my future wife today. I just knew it. And I didn't think that that was real, like love at first sight, but it happened to me. And I truly felt that. And I knew that it wasn't just like a feeling of lust or something like this. It was truly, she was the one. I felt immediately connected to her.
So we leave the gallery. My mom's like, so what do you think? I was like, I wish he had an older brother, because you guys, he was 21 and I was 33. And I know there's bigger gaps out there. but I had been traveling the globe. I was almost in my mid-30s. And this 20-nothing-year-old boy is beautiful and striking. And at that time, I didn't even think that there could be a connection. I'm living on an island being my best self. I had no intentions of dating. So when he asked me out for coffee, I was like, sure, my mom wants the job. So off to coffee we went.
So we had our first date, depending on who you ask.
You guys, it was so not a date to me. I was asking him things like, oh, do you want kids someday? And if you could have your dream job, I'm sure it's not an art gallery, what would it be? Just super casual. Like I would ask any friend to get to know them.
She's asking me all these deep questions about if I wanted to have kids and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, she's really looking into me to see if I'm like a good person for her. And I already knew without even talking to her that she would be good for me.
I leave there feeling a little goosier than I had planned. You know, I went on the date thinking like, how long is this gonna last? And towards the end, I didn't want it to be over. And that was shocking to me because years of traveling, meeting incredible people, I was always ready to go. What's next? What's new? Who's different? And I just wanted to know more of Matt.
She was only here for 1 week, so I knew that I had to see her as much as possible. So we left, and I texted her, and I said, hey, I have this really cool photography technique that I've been wanting to try. You want to come over and do it? Because she's into photography from what her mom told me.
The only pictures I had ever taken was on my travels because I was a writer, so I would take a photo and write about it. But he was, for some reason, thought I was into photography, but okay, so I guess I'd go.
And I just was trying to find any excuse to hang out with her. I even had her come to my work to give me a haircut. You know, anything that I could do to spend time with her while she was here for this 1 week.
And I went over to his house, and again, just like friends, we had a great time. There were other people there, and it wasn't even flirting. I wish I could just give you guys my heart to see what it felt like because it was just the most pure, innocent love, not lust or physical anything. It was just two people genuinely having a good time side by side.
And it was just all conversation, and it was beautiful.
And that started it all. I don't think we went another day after our non-date date that we didn't talk every single day.
She asked me to give her a ride to the airport.
And instantly regretted it because I was so nervous, thinking like, I hope he doesn't try to kiss me. I don't want to pull away. Don't give me the creepy arm around the shoulder. Like, I just didn't want that.
I was like, I'm going to make a little move here. And I just held my hand out because I knew that she felt something. And I certainly did too. So I held my hand out for her to hold my hand. And
I don't remember if I had a second thought, but I put my hand in his and it just was right.
Just like all the butterflies just like totally released inside of me.
And so we held hands like two cute little junior high kids all the way to the airport.
And then we get to the airport and I knew that I didn't want to play games or anything like this, but I also didn't want to go too fast because I'd made that mistake before.
And I remember thinking, please don't kiss me, because in my brain, if we make that contact, there's a connection now, and that means I'll have to either break up with him or tell him it's not. And I wasn't ready.
And so I just gave her a kiss on the forehead and said, hey, I hope to see you again. And then she was off.
I could almost cry right now telling you about it. It was special.
And from there, for the next couple months, we talked every single day over Skype, because this was like before Zoom was a thing. And we just communicated every day. We talked about all these deep subjects. And
it was really magical because I think with modern day relationships, you meet, there's physical touch, there's silent dates at the movies, but there wasn't a moment spent that him and I were on the phone that wasn't either a silly conversation or a deep topic that maybe some people wait years into the relationship to discuss.
This is really personal, but she told me that she didn't know if she was good for me because one of the questions on our first date that she asked me was if I wanted kids. Despite my dad taking his life, he was an amazing father. and made me want to be a father too.
And I had been medically tested twice, Western medicine, and been told that you'll never have children because of some things that I could never produce a child. And that was devastating to me to have to tell somebody that that was a possibility of our future.
This was only like 2 or 3 weeks after she had left. And I just felt the feeling inside of me to finally tell her, like, truly how I felt. And I was like, look, like, I love you. I've loved you from the moment that I saw you. And I just knew that you were the one for me. And this is no obstacle to me. My dad adopted me.
But the intention was, I don't have to be a biological father. And it was one of those aha moments of, this is what honesty and love and sincerity sounds like. It's what it feels like. And that was the beginning of it all for me. As far as the 12-year age gap, I've been on dates with older men that I questioned their maturity. You know, talking to Matt, the time that we each had on Earth, it just melted away. It was non-existent because of the conversation and the connection that we had.
Erica flew back to Florida to see really if this was real. And I always knew that it was. Like, I had no doubt in my mind. And so she flew back for my birthday, actually. I was turning 22.
So I got to go to the art gallery where a lot of his artwork was on display. And it was kind of neat to sit back and just be, you know, the observer, watching all these people admire him and his work.
In my past relationships, I always felt really like dependent upon the other person and how they felt, and like they usually did with me too. But Erica was so independent. She didn't need me, and we were at my birthday party and all these people were talking to me, and she was fine being by herself. She didn't need to be included in everything that I did. She was fine talking to her own people, and I didn't worry about how she felt that night. To me, that was big, because all my other past relationships, I was really like making sure that the girl knew that I was caring for them and whatever, but Erica didn't need that because she already had that fulfillment, that sturdiness inside her, with or without me.
So we're hanging out at his house, and it's, you know, towards the end of the trip.
I asked her in this really shy way because I was afraid of whatever I was afraid of. And so I asked her, I was like, Erica, just to make this like official, will you be my girlfriend?
And I wasn't prepared for that question. I don't know why I wasn't ready for that question, but I wasn't.
And she was quiet. And I was like, oh shit. Like, that's the worst thing. Like, it's quietness after you just ask a question like that.
And nor was I ready for that commitment. And I know being someone's girlfriend isn't a huge commitment, but to me it was. I had been traveling, I was independent, I could do what I wanted, when I wanted, where I wanted, and I thought if I committed to somebody, I would then have to be limited. And that's how I saw relationships at that time, was limiting.
And she took like probably 5 seconds, but it felt like 5 minutes, you know? And she was like, no. At first, it like pinged me in the, not in the wrong way, but just like a fearful way of like, oh no, she doesn't want me after all this. And I respected that decision, and it actually made that love deepen even more through her honesty. And her honesty to say no when most of the time it was like going to be a yes, or if it was a no, it was over. It wasn't over. It was actually just the beginning. And that actually really made me respect her even more.
And he didn't kick me out. He didn't cry. Honestly, I think we just laughed about it, and life went on.
So Erica flew back to Barbados, and even though she said no to me being her boyfriend, I knew that I already was. Like, it didn't have to be official. And honestly, it was just a few months later. I had sold everything I owned. I mean, I had a Harley and a nice car and all this stuff, you know. I sold everything, downsized my life into like a couple surfboard bags and a backpack, and bought a one-way ticket to Barbados.
So before Matt got to Barbados, I was living the life. I'd go to their Kadooment, which is kind of like Carnival, every single year, and I worked on a sailboat. But now I had this partner there with me.
To me, it was magical. I'd never really been out of the country too much, especially not living out of the country on a beautiful island of Barbados, and surfing every day. It was incredible, and our relationship just continued to grow and get deeper and deeper with being there with one another every day.
It was just a really neat experience to be somewhere that I had already felt like home, but now sharing it with somebody who I loved and wanted to be there with me. It was a really cool, transition in my life from thinking it couldn't get any better than this, and then boom, it got better.
And I knew that I wanted to propose to her. Like I said, from the very moment that I saw her, I wanted to propose to her. But I was like, it's so soon. We haven't even been together for a year.
So we live in the sun, and it was time to go back to the States for a little holiday break. And so we went to California, which I wanted to show Matt Lake Tahoe, which is where I grew up nearby.
And I bought a ring. I bought a ring, guys, 5 months into the relationship. And I've been holding on to it. And I wanted to bring her up to the top of the mountains.
We go on this gondola ride, which was fine. We're going up to the top of the mountain.
I'm being a little weird because I'm trying to set something up, to propose to her at the top of this beautiful mountain. And I, like a creeper, grab her arm and say, hey, let's go over in the woods by ourselves, and I don't think she was not suspecting this at all. So I had the camera, I set up on the tripod. I'm like, I want to take a picture of us in the snow. And I set up, but really I put it on video, and I run out to her and I propose, and she said no, once again.
I'm going to tell you my side because I don't think Matt put this in here. So he sets up the camera like he's going to do a timer shot. He's got to run back real fast because he pushed the timer photo, and I'm watching him. And he has his hand in his pockets. It didn't dawn on me to question that. It was cold. But little did I know he was holding onto the ring. So he starts sprinting at me, and his foot sinks in powder. And when your foot sinks to your thigh, you have nowhere to go but down. But his hands were in his pockets. So when his foot sunk, he face planted just into the snow. No breaking his fall, and I lost it. Tears, crying, laughing so hard, because in my family, that is hilarious. And I couldn't gather myself. And I'm expecting him to come up to me laughing just as hard because it was hilarious, and he was trying to get all serious and romantic because he was going to propose. And I am gasping for air because I cannot catch my breath. It was so funny to me. Anyways, okay, so we I finally gather myself and proposes, and my world, I really can't explain it. It didn't stop out of joy. It didn't pause because I was afraid. It was just, I think, reality. I'd been living in this bubble of met the perfect guy and life was so grand. I didn't think there would have to be another step. So because my first reaction wasn't yes in my head, I said no. And the analogy I gave Matt, and I'll never forget it, is that for me, dating was swimming. I hadn't swam in years. I'd been traveling without swimming. And then dating, here we were finally in the swimming pool, but proposal, you're asking me to put a tank on my back and dive into the ocean with diving gear on. And I just wasn't ready for that. So just let me swim for a little bit longer and get comfortable in water again. And then we can go out scuba diving. And he accepted it with grace, and in some odd way, it made us closer, which was really cool and unexpected. I really did think this is either going to be the make or break. This is the end of it. It was a good run, or it's going to go on forever.
It was very similar of a feeling when she said no to me asking her to be my girlfriend. There was fear in there. It was did she really want more here? Or, But at the same time, I knew all that was false. All that fear that I felt was really not real. And she comes back to me the next morning when she has the ring in her hand. And she says, Matt, I'm just not ready quite yet to make this commitment, and she gets on her knee and proposes to me. and said that this is not a no, but it's just she needs more time to think about it. And to me, that level of honesty and me not allowing myself to get emotional and disbalanced because of her first initial answer, like all these things just added up to like a real honest, loving moment. And to me, the definition of love is the willingness to extend yourself for someone else's spiritual growth or your own spiritual development. And to me, this, all the way up to this point and past, had that kind of love in it, where I gave her the space to feel what she felt, and she gave me the honest responses and gave me genuine Erica.
So we went back to Barbados, and I was ready for proposal like the next day, but the stinker took months to ask again. We had some friends in town. We went on a little day adventure.
He had a camera, so I was like, okay, we're gonna do it here. We climbed up on this rock. It's like this 3-story rock that you climb up on. Erica didn't want to come, but that's where I wanted to propose to her. So it's like, come on. And she ended up coming up, and I had the ring in my pocket again. And we're on top of this rock with the beautiful Barbados ocean on the Atlantic side. And my buddy's filming us, and she's like, oh, what's happening? And I dropped down and I proposed to her again.
And again, trying to be all romantic like he is. And I'm like, okay, I already know what you're going to say. Can I just say yes now? And
because she said no the first time, I knew that this yes was without hesitation and was for real.
That was it. All of the no's behind us.
After Erica finally said yes to one of my proposals. Yeah. We planned a wedding for 4 months later out on the island.
And because we were leaving the island, we didn't want gifts, so we just told our guests to bring homemade food, your favorite local dish, a bottle of your favorite drink. We're just going to celebrate love, and that's exactly what we did.
And everything just aligned perfectly, just like the rest of our relationship had done. There was no forcing of anything. And I feel like weddings, especially in America, are forced and hard and stressful, and there was none of that.
Woke up the day of with a hurricane warning. We're on an island and it was hurricane season. Matt and his brother and best friend were out there like throwing tarps over the roofs. And I had no idea because I was up in the suite just getting ready with my friends. And they gently warned me that, hey, it's been raining, so you might have to, like, maybe one of us can hold an umbrella while you walk the aisle because it was all outdoor. And I was like, nah, it'll be fine. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I stepped out of the room, a couple drops hit my face, and by the time I approached the aisle to walk, nothing. It was dry for our entire wedding. It smelled like ocean air. The sand was a little damp. We had a bonfire. People danced with no shoes on, and it was just shy of perfection. If I could change one thing, I probably wouldn't. You'd think after such a beautiful wedding that the honeymoon phase would have lasted forever.
I mean, I made a really dumb mistake. A really, really dumb mistake that almost ended our relationship.
In the next video, we're going to share with you some things that almost ended us.
Although I don't want to, because it's about me being an asshole and super selfish. It brought me back down to another bottom that I needed to experience. So click to the next video.